Bismillah.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our international lecture series with title Innovative Teaching Learning During Pandemic. This event is one of the series presented by Department of Management, and today we'll focusing on our target is lecturer. Today we'll discuss about innovative teaching, learning, and during pandemic. And this event is the collaboration between Department of Management Universitas Airlangga and also Department of Management Universitas Indonesia, and also Graduate Business School of University Teknologi Mara Arsyad Ayub, Malaysia. For our first agenda, I would like to invite our Head of Department Management Universitas Airlangga, Dr. Ganjar Chandra Pinananto, to uh, speak for the opening remarks. Dr. Ganjar, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Bu Raras. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Good morning for everyone that participate in this forum. Thank you for your participation in this forum. So we have a vision that in this globalization era, we have to collaborate not only nationally, not only regionally, but we have to make collaboration become internationally. So we have imagination to create international communication forum for the head of management department and study program. Maybe there is some association that trying to make communication forum just like AUN-PE, Asian University Networking Business Education, but somehow there is a small university that cannot join with us because he not certificate by AUN, and maybe he's not accredited with ABES 21, FIBA, and so on and so on. So some of small universities, small campus cannot join with many institutions. So we're trying to make this forum to help each other to make a small campus, small university become growing with us, so we can share many information, many experience from the university that have experience for many things. So this is the maybe about the fourth event that we already done. We already conducted management linkage forum, and then we already invite many speakers to talk about redesign curriculum also. So right now we're trying to discuss about innovative teaching learning during pandemic. I think we all, as a lecturer and a teacher, need to do that. Why? We will answer it, and how we will answer it too. So we invite the lecturer from Universitas Indonesia and AGBS GTM to share their experience about how to make our teaching learning become innovative in this pandemic era. So please enjoy the discussion. Hopefully that we can have something fruitful to share to our student and to our college. And hopefully that we can manage this international communication forum, and maybe in the next agenda we're trying to make other topic. It's about how to measure the effectiveness of organizational objective and vision, because it's important for us as a leader, as the head of department and study program. So hopefully that we still can continue our forum communication, and we can formalize that into international communication forum for the head of department and study program. Barakallah, Assalamualaikum, and enjoy this event. Thank you, Bu Raras.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the opening remarks, Dr. Ganjar. And next we have our partner, Professor Irwan Adi Eka Putra from Head of Department of Management in Universitas Indonesia. We hope you can give opening remarks also, Professor. Time is yours.
Thank you, Ibu Rara. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, Bapak Ibu semua, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have to be very thankful because in this pandemic situation, we are still able to communicate and also collaborate using a lot of platform and technologies that we can now utilize. I would like to greet also the honorable speaker, Professor Siti Zaleha from University Teknologi Mara, and my dear friend, Pak Dr. Ganjar, and all the lecturers from Universitas Indonesia and Airlangga, and probably from other universities as well. Thank you for joining this forum. The initiation is actually from Dr. Ganjar, and he has been very persistent in doing this collaboration, which I think will be very beneficial for a lot of parties, not only for Universitas Indonesia and Airlangga, but for other universities as well. We all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has forced all of us to be more engaged in online or blended learning. Maybe I can share a little bit that at Universitas Indonesia, especially Department of Management, we are currently also very intensely train our lecturers to be able and to be more knowledgeable in this blended or e-learning era. Although hopefully that the pandemic will be over in the near future, keep our fingers crossed, but I believe that the e-learning or blended learning will still be there. We are so used to teaching using this online platform from wherever we are, so I don't think this e-learning, online learning, or blended learning system will go away. It will still be there. And we are at Universitas Indonesia and Department of Management are intensely, again, training the lecturers to be more knowledgeable, not only because online learning and blended learning, I just learned this, it's not the same. And there are a lot of techniques that we can use to conduct more interesting blended learning system. And Dr. Rifeli, one of our speakers from Universitas Indonesia, from Department of Management. She is very knowledgeable and very experienced in conducting this blended learning. So hopefully we all can learn something from today's event and also share it with our other colleagues who are not able to join this morning. Again, following Dr. Ganjar, I hope that we are all learning something and enjoying today's session. And we can also improve in the teaching methods, but also our cooperation will move forward in the future. Thank you. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof. Irwan.
And for our next agenda, we would like also to invite our partner from AIGPS, Dr. Arlina Abdul Rashid. Are you available to talk now? Maybe some few words. Oh, maybe Pak Ganjar sepertinya beliau ini ya, away.
Okay.
Oh, here.
Sorry, I didn't expect to say anything actually today.
Yeah.
Just welcome speech for all of us, Dr. Alina.
Yeah. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. I would like to thank Dr. Gancha. I mean, I think he's a very hardworking person, you know, and then I'm really grateful, you know, to be working, to be able to work with Dr. Gancha because, you know, he is very creative, very, and you know, like to suggest a lot of, you know, good ideas, you know, programs. So I believe that, you know, this is something. I mean, this kind of, you know, talk, you know, and forum is good, you know, for us to exchange ideas, you know, about teaching and learning. All right. So we hope that we would have, you know, more events such as this, you know, to mark collaboration. Because as Dr. Gancha mentioned just now, you know, we don't want just an agreement, you know, but we want it to be an active collaboration. So there should be, you know, a lot of you know, activities that we need to do together. So I really hope that, you know, all of us can benefit from, you know, this kind of sharing session, and looking forward to be working, you know, together with Dr. Gancha in other activities. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Arlina Abdul Rashid. Sorry for the shocking appointment. We appreciate this collaboration between Department of Management Universitas Airlangga, Department of Management Universitas Indonesia, and also from IGPS Malaysia. Now we will start our main event. We will start to hear the presentation from our first speaker from Universitas Indonesia, Dr. Rifeli Dewi Astuti. Doctor, I would like to introduce a little bit about Dr. Rifeli Dewi Astuti. Actually, the CV is enormous. We have 3 pages, so I will just explain some of the highlight of the CV. So Dr. Rifeli Dewi Astuti is graduated from Pascasarjana Ilmu Manajemen Universitas Indonesia in 2017, and she also have a lot of experience in producing books, book chapter, also active in publication. So she also have a lot of activities in project and consultation with industry. So it's our honor today to have Dr. Rifeli with us. So Dr. Rifeli, we will have 20 minutes time for your presentation. Okay, so now time is yours. I will put you in spotlight.
Thank you, Mbak Raras. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bapak Ibu, it's very, very honored to be invited in this event. So, Prof. Irwan, Pak Ganjar, Dr. Siti Zaleha, thank you very much for inviting me to this event. Maybe I will use campur-campur ya, bahasa and English also, because it's very difficult if in English because sometimes, yeah, because it's not our mother tongue maybe, yeah. So yeah, I will use campur-campur.
No problem, Doctor. Just enjoy the presentation.
Okay.
Nasi campur is delicious.
Nasi campur is delicious.
So that's fine.
Yes, Pak, betul sekali. Sorry. I will share the screens first. Oke. Sudah terlihat, Mbak Raras? Sudah ya?
Ya, sudah Ibu. Bisa di full screen?
Ya. Oke. Why I give this title? Because that the most hard part or the most difficult part when we decide to learn by forced by the pandemic, and then we decide to go to the online part, online learning, is how to engage with students. Yang tadinya kita mungkin bisa lihat mata, we can see the eyes, we can see maybe sleepy students, or we can see how they enthusiastic in classroom, and then when in online they off the camera. And then they never say something. And then we cannot see their expression. We cannot see, we cannot know is they're enthusiastic or not. Nah, this is the most difficult part for me as an extrovert person. Extrovert person, how to engage with the students in online learning. So we decide to make something very enjoyable gitu ya di online and also in offline. Okay, so my name is Rifeli. I'm the lecturer of Management Department FEB UI. My research interesting in marketing, digital marketing, and also entrepreneurial marketing. And I'm also reviewer in some Kemdikbudristek Dikti activities. Mungkin Bapak Ibu yang tahu PIMNAS, PKM, saya reviewer nasional dan juri PIMNAS. Dan saya juga pernah diundang, saya pernah datang ke UNER untuk waktu itu review monef eksternalnya PIMNAS ya, monef eksternalnya PKM ya, gitu. I love traveling. I'm not best lecturer. And GovTech person sometimes Pak Irwan, mohon maaf. And so I only share my experience now today ya. Okay. Okay, first of all, that's the most important part for me and for my college also. We have to know about our students ya. Siapa sih mahasiswa kita sebenarnya? Mereka itu seperti apa gitu ya? Know your audience first because I'm from marketing department. So it is very important to know who is our student, who are our students, okay? Gen Z, of course, ya. Kalau kita ngajar untuk bachelor degree, so
jalannya megah mudah.
Okay, from bachelor degree, it is we handle the Gen Z students, and also for master degree, yeah, some of them is also Gen Z students, yeah, Gen Z generation. Okay. Gen Z learning style nowadays is they want to be very experienced, ya. Jadi so learning experience is very important for them. They need clear learning objective and quick feedback. Jadi mereka tuh pengen banget dapetin. We have to make a very clear objective about our learning, our session. And then they want to ask to be a quick feedback, give a quick feedback. And they love audiovisual dan text. Kita tahu ya Bapak Ibu ya. And they multitasking. Mungkin waktu online, yang mereka lakukan adalah, they streaming video lainnya. Maybe they watch Netflix. Meanwhile, they have a session with us. And maybe they chatting with their friends and also like that. So jika kita punya 2,5 jam online, terus kita fully 2,5 jam di Zoom atau di Google Meet, saya sih sudah pastikan bahwa mereka hanya akan konsentrasi di 1 jam pertama. Di rest of hour-nya itu nggak akan konsentrasi sama sekali, Bapak Ibu. So it's very careful, very important to us untuk membuat planning yang tepat. Okay, so as we know, kita ada teori, learning style, visual, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic. Why? Maybe for visual person, they like to study with video. With a picture, with graphs, something like that. Auditory, maybe they love to hear, and then podcast maybe, And then there's some student who loves reading and writing also, Jadi kita bisa giving a paper assignment, kita bisa giving a summarize or a reflection assignment, and some of them also love kinesthetic. So maybe in learning we can do like role playing, like role playing, and then maybe they in breakout discussion, something like that, yang mereka memang benar-benar encourage experience-nya mereka. So because in one class there are many style of learning that our students have. So the important one is a balanced combination learning method. Jadi kita sekarang nggak bisa lagi fokus di buat paper aja, fokus di visual aja, nggak bisa juga seperti itu. Jadi a balanced combination is very important to us. Nah, bagaimana caranya membuat a balanced combination learning method itu? Jadi tipsnya adalah first we do maybe like a survey online. Jadi sebenarnya bukan survei sih, nanya. Seperti itu sih Bapak Ibu. Bertanya kepada students kita, mereka itu senangnya apa sih? Lebih senang seperti apa? Nah, ini biasanya kami lakukan sebelum perkuliahan dimulai. Sorry Mbak Rara. Sebelum perkuliahan dimulai, itu kami biasanya bertanya kepada mahasiswa gitu ya, dengan cara survei online atau pakai Google Form gitu ya, seperti itu. Kita tanya mereka sukanya seperti apa. And then kita juga bertanya how their challenge or obstacle, because we have students from remote area ya Bapak Ibu, dari pedalaman Sulawesi, dari pedalaman Sumatera gitu, yang ada mahasiswa saya yang harus naik ojek, harus naik motor 1 jam to find a better connection. Makanya kalau misalnya kita push mereka untuk Zoom terus, untuk Google Meet terus, kasihan sekali bagi mereka yang tidak bisa menemukan a better connection. So it's very important to us to know seperti apa mereka, lalu bagaimana hambatan yang mereka hadapi saat ini, lalu juga gaya belajarnya, sukanya seperti apa. And then second tips is we provide clear objectives in every online. Okay, clear objective, and then we choose the technology or the appropriate media technology based on our objective. That's the tips yang kami lakukan di dalam perkuliahan. Nah, second one is a planning is a must. Why? It's very because we cannot do something like impromptu. So we have to make a plan, a clear objective, and also a method. Thankfully, in Department Management, in FEB, we have to make BRP ya, mungkin di UNER juga dan Bapak Ibu juga gitu ya. Sekarang BRP-nya ada namanya BRP online ya Prof Irwan ya, BRP blended. Jadi kami harus membuat bagaimana setiap pembelajaran itu dalam bentuk daringnya dan luringnya Bapak Ibu. Nah, ini misalnya untuk sesi 1. This is for example for session 1. In week 1. What is the objective, what is the indicators, and then the technique and criteria, and then we plan the learning, online and offline, with orientation maybe 60 minutes with the interactive lecturing, because this is week 1, first week, and then we do the experience like breakout room discussion, and then we have a reflective or feedback from the students. And then in the offline class, we do the reflection, something like this, and then we do the planning until the last session. Jadi ini important Bapak Ibu, penting sekali untuk kita membuat planning yang jelas. Ini untuk bisa menjadi guideline kita dalam perkuliahan kita setiap minggunya. Seperti itu. Oke, so saya akan lebih fokus bagaimana kita handle kelas sinkronus dan asinkronus. Seperti itu. This is my experience ya Bapak Ibu. Kalau sinkronus, jadi di FEBUI itu 3 SKS, we have 2.5 hour for 3 credits. Jadi every week we have 2.5 hours. After that, we divide into synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronousnya we use Google Meet or Zoom.
1,5 sampai 2 jam.
Kira-kira 1,5 sampai 2 jam. Tapi it could be lesser. Could be 1 hour also. It's okay. Yeah. And then asynchronous, we use LMS, Mas UI, ataupun Google Classroom yang free-nya saja Bapak Ibu, 30 minutes until 1 hour or 1.5 hour. Jadi ini bukan sesuatu rumus yang pasti, silahkan saja disesuaikan, apalagi mungkin nanti ada session-session tertentu yang harus ada presentasi dan lain sebagainya, mungkin itu yang akan menjadi lebih panjang di sinkronusnya. Seperti itu. Nah, this is our e-learning management system, emas, ini kelas emas saya. It's very important to us, to make introduce first, ya. Jadi untuk berkenalan dulu kepada para mahasiswa kita. Jadi buatlah sesuatu yang menarik, Bapak Ibu, bisa foto, bisa video dan lain sebagainya di dalam learning management system kita ataupun di Google Classroom lah yang gratisan seperti itu. Ini contoh saja. Oke, nah, so the third one is how to engage. Ya, how to engage with our students. Ada 4 hal yang saya lakukan, Bapak Ibu, yang kami lakukan. First one is gaining the attention. Second one is stimulate prior learning because we use flipped classroom, ya, flipped classroom. And then the third one, elicit performance and feedback. And then the fourth one is reflective and retention. Oke. Gaining attention itu bisa akan kita lakukan dengan asinkronus dan juga sinkronus. This is my class ya in emas UI asinkronus. For the session 1, this is for the marketing management class. We give like video, kita bisa cari videonya di YouTube kalau kita nggak punya video sendiri, Bapak Ibu. Saya belum punya video sendiri karena saya masih ikut pelatihan buat video tuh MOOCs gitu ya. Jadi kita bisa ambil di YouTube. Ambillah sesuatu yang menarik gitu ya. Misalnya ini saya tampilkan Steve Jobs di sini. Anak mahasiswa S1 itu tahu banget yang namanya Steve Jobs. They know Steve Jobs, ya kan? Nah, lalu di situ ada kata-kata Steve Jobs, video Steve Jobs, ada paparan Steve Jobs. Nah, after they see the short movie, the short video, ya, and then we give like triggered question. We give triggered questions di kelas emas. Ini asinkronus Bapak Ibu. Ini mereka bisa lakukan prior sinkronus ataupun after sinkronus. Nah, misalnya dear students, choose one brand, ya, choose one brand that really that the most favorite one gitu ya. Lalu sebutkan mereknya dan tuliskan value apa yang ditawarkan oleh brand tersebut. Nah, ini yang menarik ya Bapak Ibu. Ternyata responnya itu beragam sekali. Nah, kalau kita mungkin taunya karena kita Gen X, bahkan baby boomers, kita mungkin taunya merek-merek itu apa sih? Apple, Samsung, atau Telkomsel gitu. Nah, Bapak Ibu, saya banyak mendapatkan masukan bahkan dari mahasiswa, misalnya ini dari Brigita, dia bilang brand yang sangat favorit bagi dia adalah Something. Aduh, saya nggak pernah tahu ini brand apa Something itu. ternyata something itu brand highest quality dari kosmetik lokal Indonesia. Kita nggak pernah tahu Bapak Ibu. Karena ini kita bukan target marketnya si something, tapi mereka tahu, anak-anak ini tahu. Nah, it is very interesting for us. Nah, dari sini kita bahkan akhirnya saya mendapatkan pembelajaran dari mahasiswa. Akhirnya saya cari brand ini apa sih? Akhirnya kita bisa dapat bahwa oh ternyata brand ini seperti ini, dan akhirnya dibawa ke pembelajaran di sinkronus. Dan itu menimbulkan conversation gitu ya di dalam asinkronus dan juga sinkronus dengan lebih baik. Seperti itu. Ini kalau di asinkronus. Nah, sewaktu di sinkronus, saya suka sekali pakai Mentimeter ataupun Kahoot Bapak Ibu. Ya, nggak setiap sesi sih, tapi kadang-kadang untuk membuka gaining their attention gitu ya, I use Mentimeter. For example, this. Apa sih yang Anda harapkan dari mata kuliah ini? Nah, dari sini kita bisa peroleh insight mereka. Apa yang mereka harapkan dari mata kuliah ini dalam satu semesternya? Or kita bisa bertanya, apa sih yang terlintas di benak Anda dengan istilah brand, misalnya kayak gitu. Dari sini kita tahu their prior knowledge. Their prior knowledge. Ada nggak sih istilah yang mungkin nggak cocok gitu dengan brandnya, nggak relevan dengan brandnya, seperti itu. Dan ini lalu nanti kita akan diskusikan di sinkronus juga, seperti itu. Jadi so gaining attention, and they love Mentimeter and Kahoot, gitu ya. Ini free Bapak Ibu, jadi kita bisa pakai, ya. Oke. Second one is how to stimulate prior learning. Ini contoh Google Classroom saya, Bapak Ibu. We give like a trigger questions. Jadi before they start the synchronous class, they have to they have to make make questions, ya, make question. Jadi after they read the materials, after they learn about the presenter group, ya, presenter group atau summary-nya, mereka harus membuat questions. Nah, sometimes why I use this Bapak Ibu? Karena kadang-kadang kalau kita lagi sinkronus, kita suka bertanya kan, ayo siapa nih yang mau nanya? Pertanyaannya mana gitu? And they keep silent. Jadi ini caranya Bapak Ibu. Ini caranya karena questionnya sudah harus harus disubmit before prior learning, prior sinkronus. Jadi kita tinggal masukkan saja nanti waktu di sinkronus. Ini ada pertanyaan-pertanyaannya, silakan dijawab, silakan didiskusikan. So pertanyaan itu asalnya dari mereka, kita jawabnya bareng-bareng. Seperti itu. Jadi nggak ada yang namanya kita akhirnya nungguin pertanyaan gitu ya dari kelas. Ini stimulating prior learning.
Ibu mohon maaf, waktunya tinggal 3 menit.
Oh, oke, sorry. Oke, saya akan percepat. Ini elicit performance. Jadi Bapak Ibu ini juga suatu suatu feedback suatu pertanyaan, dan yang the most important adalah kita harus berada walaupun di asinkronus. Jadi kita harus kasih feedback Bapak Ibu. Jangan kita tinggalin kayak mereka bikin tugas gitu, mereka langsung ngasih jawaban terus kita tinggalin, halo dada babai gitu. Enggak seperti itu. Kita harus ada walaupun di asinkronus. Oke. Nah, feedback di suatu disinkronus kita bisa lakukan juga misalnya breakout discussion like this gitu ya, mereka kita bagi terus mereka bisa diskusi dan mereka bisa presentasikan mungkin dalam 3-5 menit. Kita juga bisa bikin quiz di Menti ataupun di Kahoot seperti ini, dan mereka tuh senang sekali kalau misalnya dapat feedback. Oh ini salah nih jawabannya, tuh saya kasih feedbacknya kenapa salahnya. Lalu yang menang bisa mengambil hadiahnya di kamar sebelah gitu ya, atau menginap di rumahnya masing-masing. Kayak gitu-gitulah, dibikin lucu-lucuan seperti itu. Nah, reflective and retention ini penting sekali Bapak Ibu. Mungkin tidak dilakukan di setiap sesi, mungkin di beberapa sesi yang penting bagi kita gitu ya. Bisa seperti ini, mereka bikin summary dengan menjawab pertanyaan-pertanyaan seperti ini, ataupun Oh ya, di Google Classroom sekarang ada exit ticket Bapak Ibu. Ya, ini free juga. Bapak Ibu bisa bikin reflektif seperti ini. Nah, ini hasil-hasilnya, dan di sini kita bisa lihat bahwa mereka ada yang not really man, because I forgot to read the journal prior to class section. Jujur ya, jujur. Tapi ada juga yang I feel prepare as today's lesson was already being touched. Nah, kayak gitu, itu kan prior knowledge-nya. Atau yes, because I have much patience. Nah, kayak gini-gini seperti ini tuh bisa menjadi refleksi kita, Bapak Ibu. Oke, nah yang terakhir adalah give their creative assignment. Kenapa Bapak Ibu? Karena kalau assignment-nya ini hanya paper presentasi, aduh bosenin banget ya. Kalau sekarang ini kami buat misalnya they use their social media to give make infographic, atau juga TikTok, mereka bikin TikTok, itu tugas loh Bapak Ibu. Dan ini mau nggak mau mereka bisa share di sosial media mereka. Terus kalau kita pakai Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis, ini juga membuat kita FEB juga menjadi lebih tenar. Kenapa? Karena ini dari kelasnya mereka, terus mereka share di grup mereka, dan kita juga nilai likes and comment-nya. Nah, kita pakai metrik digitalnya juga. Seperti itu, Bapak Ibu. Oke. Nah, sorry. Why it's not
working.
Not working.
Mungkin bisa disimpulkan.
Oke. Simpulannya adalah memang engagement-nya, sorry. Engagement-nya itu kita harus buat sesuatu yang menyenangkan Bapak Ibu. Karena mereka ini hanya berhadapan dengan laptop, mereka capek, exhausted seperti kita. Itu jadi sesuatu kita bertemu waktu sinkronus itu kita harus buat sesuatu yang lebih engage, yang lebih menyenangkan. Yang asinkronus kita harus berada di asinkronus itu juga. Seperti itu, sehingga mereka merasa bahwa mereka itu diperhatikan. Ya, kira-kira seperti ini. Have fun, Bapak Ibu. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Dr. Rifeli, Dewi Astuti for the wonderful presentation. It's such insightful for us ya. Saya sepakat tadi using TikTok as one of the assignment gitu ya. Maybe one of our students is influencer, right? So
yes. Many of them is influencer.
Yes, exactly. So it's very we get benefits for the publication also, right?
Yes.
For the exposure. Yes. Yeah. And before we going on to our second speaker, Dr. Ganjar Chandra Permananto, I would like to announce some information. The first information is the presentation link. I mean, the material of the PPT could be downloaded in the link that have been that's available in the chat room, and also the attendance form and e-certificate form will be provided in the last session. So before 12, we will share the attendance form link so you can get the certificate. Ya, untuk Bapak Ibu saya ulangi dengan bahasa. Jadi untuk materi narasumber bisa di-download di link yang sudah tersedia di chat. Kemudian untuk link absensi dan e-sertifikat akan dibagikan oleh panitia di akhir sesi ya, nanti sebelum jam 12. Oke, di link bahan-bahan akan saya share lagi Bu Dwi. Kemudian ya nanti jika ada pertanyaan Bapak Ibu bisa ditanyakan di akhir sesi atau diketik di sini boleh. Nanti setelah presentasi dari Dr. Siti akan kami berikan kesempatan tanya jawab. Bapak Ibu bisa raise hand, bisa bertanya langsung dengan narasumber kita. Silakan dimanfaatkan momen ini Bapak Ibu ya. Nanti. Baik, kita move ke second speaker. So we will move to our second speaker, Dr. Ganjar Chandra Permananto. You have 20 minutes. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Bu Raras. Inshallah. Usually I will present in for 14 session with UTS and UAS. No, I'm just a substitute speaker. As you know, the real speaker is Dr. Din Mardia. So I hope that I will not take a long time to present. Okay, so my presentation, I will give the title just like something that become our theme, innovative teaching learning during pandemic. So in the welcoming speech, I said that why we have to do innovative teaching learning. So we have to answer it first, and then I would like to share my experience when conducting teaching learning process in undergraduate and postgraduate. So as we know, Dr. Rivali already mentioned that we have so many posts by Zoom, by Google Meet, even meeting, teaching, learning, and then even for us as a teacher or lecturer, we teaching with online platform. We have to revise things. We have to make correction, and then many tasks we do it with online platform. So there is an interesting topic, the research about the impact of web-based meeting platform usage on overall well-being among higher education employees. And so as we know, there is a statistical significant relationship, especially when we take a longer time to expose by the meeting platform, the online platform. So not only for employees, there is a research also for students that stress and Zoom fatigue happen around student during teaching learning around pandemic era. So we know about this. Wait a minute, my son has come from his school. Yeah. So why we should do innovating teaching learning process? So this is the reason why we come out with this topic, that we live in innovative era, and we want to make our student become innovative person, innovative businessman, because today's era need innovative person. And sometimes we know that innovation cannot only be taught in classical way, just teaching learning in classical way. We just ask them to trying to be innovative. We cannot just have, we cannot make them innovative just to ask them to do it, but they should experience how to be innovative. So it's important for us also to be innovative in teaching learning process, so we can teach them how to be innovative also in teaching learning. The second thing, just like the previous research that I already shared, online meeting and Zooming make us boring. Meeting again by Zooming, meeting again by online. So sometimes we have to wake up the student, because just like Dr. Rivali said, the camera is blank. Maybe they leave the room, they become whatever they do, playing something with their phone. So we have to make everybody enthusiastic and happy with Zooming things, with online meeting, with Google Meeting, and so on and so on. So how to wake them up, that's the important thing. And also pandemic make us stress, so we should do entertainment for students to releasing their stress. to make them more happier. The other thing, this is the specialty of Dr. Rivoli about differentiation. So in marketing, we have to make differentiation also. Many knowledge can be taught by other lecturer, by other person, and the student can try to find it in the YouTube. Marketing can taught by everybody right now. In UI, UNER, Undip, Unpad, and we have the same book, right, Dr. Rivoli? We use Kotler book. So it can be taught anywhere by any person. So there should be differentiation that we should arrive also. This is how UI do, this is how UNER did, and so on and so on. And even in this Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka, we have to attract a student outside of our institution. We call it inbound student, right? So every institution want to have student inbound. So we have to attract them to join with our class. So this is the important thing that why we should do innovative teaching learning process. And there's another else for the reason, for the motivation. Just like Porter said, innovation is the central issues in the economic prosperity. We believe about that because the more the institution become innovative, the more he can survive in this any situation of economic, especially in pandemic era. And the one who staying doing the oldest thing, he will be vanished, he will be gone in the future. So we have to innovate. And even Peter Drucker said that successful innovator use both the right side and the left side of their brain. Sometimes in our class, we just teach students to use their left side of their brains, the cognitive side. We ask them to memorize, we ask them to learn, to analyze things, and we forget to make balance between right side and the left side. We have to stimulate the creative side of students, the right side brain, because this is the important ways how to stimulate successful innovator as one of the objective for our student. So in teaching learning process, I think it's will be fruitful if we trying to combine to make balance between stimulate the right side and the left side of our brains, of student brains. And the other reason why we have to conduct innovative teaching learning process, based on my research in 2014, Marketing of Science, that the innovative teaching learning process will have a long-term effect. Our student will still memorize, will still remember about how interactive, how creative the lecturer, how interesting the teaching learning process. So the innovative teaching learning is not only to make them effective, to fulfill, to finish, to graduate, but also to make them have a connecting to their institution as alumni. So this is the importance of innovative teaching learning, because it's become marketing to our institution also in the long term. The other research in 2011 in psychology side, there is a study about the effectiveness of innovation on learning effectiveness with learning satisfaction as mediator. So there is so many evidence to discuss about how we should conduct innovative teaching learning process. Even in our vision, most of our institution have vision that we want to be #1. Especially we want to make our institution innovative. So we just want to make it just a statement, but we have to personalize the vision. So as lecturer, as a head of management and study program, we have to personalize the statement of vision, that when we want to be innovative, how we can show to the world that we are innovative institution. So that's the reason why we have to conduct innovative teaching learning process. Me myself, I want to try my experience to conduct the innovative way. In my opinion, I have YouTube content about pemasaran dalam syair. That there is so much song that we can discuss to give the basic of marketing is relevant with many song, many kind of song. So I have discussed about James Taylor song, Michael Jackson song, Yovie and the Nuno song, Adurayu, and then Dia Milikku. It have marketing things to share, to make the academic concept become more understandable to our students. So we can make correlation between the academic side and the social side. So this is my way about how to make connection between the social in many songs into the academic concept. The other thing that we already done is project-based learning and experiential-based learning. For example, in integrated marketing communication for undergraduate, so we have discussion from many movies. We ask students create IMC agencies, and we challenge them to do many projects. There is 4 projects. 2 projects for midterm and 2 projects for the final term. And we asked them to watch movies just like Thank You for Smoking or Brain is Crisis and The Genesis, because it's full of the practice things that really innovative. So we can discuss many movies to have the insight of it. And after the student make IMC agencies, we give them the real project. So just like what you see in the caption, in the snapshot over here, we have news kuliah berhadiah senilai 2 juta. So there is the real challenge from many business.
Wow.
And if they can fulfill the challenge, the winner can have the gift sometimes 2 million, 1 million. It's depend on the institution that give the reward. So we will give the awarding, we will give the reward and certificates for the winning agencies. So the objective of this kind of project-based learning is to stimulate their teamwork skill, and then about their communication things, and then how to think innovative, because the challenge is innovative but effective for the message. So the project for pandemic era, we ask students to solve the problem for Antar Aja, the transportation online service. So they need they asking to the student to create for them many short movie for them. The other example that we conducted for undergraduate, so me and my partner Bu Mas Mira, we teaching international marketing. We asking the student to make group, and then we ask them to make contact with foreign student. This is something like Vicky Naki do, that he make correspondent with student from other country, right? From Kazakhstan, from Pakistan. So we ask student to make contact foreign students, and we ask them to discuss, to asking about the foreign behavior, about their willingness, their preference of brand, and many things about consumer behavior in foreign country. And then in the second round, they should ask, we ask them to suggest what kind of product from Indonesia that can be fit for a foreign correspondence demand. So they will make presentation, and they will present their finding about the consumer behavior, about the product that can be sent from that can be export from Indonesia to the correspondent foreign country. They share it in the international seminar with the panelists is their foreign correspondences. So the panelists, the student that the foreign correspondents is invited to make comment about their finding. So we can already conduct this international seminar that conducted by the student, and we already have the video also. So there is link for YouTube if you want to watch it. So it organized by the students. The speaker is the student also. So we give them many experience how to communicate to other person in other country, and then how to make them understand about cross-cultural differentiation, about teamwork, personal confidence, and foreign language. So it's very interesting for me and for students. I'm so enthusiastic to teaching about this international marketing, because for me, I have something new also. Sometimes they got connecting with a Spanish student, with Mexico student, Japanese student, and they discuss it in their language. So it make me amazed how our students have potential things, and we can make them a speaker also in the international event. So it very make me enthusiastic to teach the integrated marketing communication, international marketing in undergraduate student.
Dr. Ganjar, sorry, your time is up. Maybe you can conclude with the conclusion.
Yes, for postgraduate, we do the same thing. We ask our student to make project. The project should be innovative with low budget. So we ask them low budget, high impact attribute, so that the characteristic that the valuation that we will give, it should be innovative and it should be have a lower budget. So they have so many publications about that in social media and in many media. And I think the easiest way that we can do to our student, just like Dr. Rivoli asking the student to make TikTok, in each of session, I will ask our student to make elaboration of their knowledge based on the session that they already participate. So make poster about the knowledge that you have today and put it in the Instagram. So they have so many quotation that come out from their self. So this is interesting. So they have to record their knowledge. So I think something that innovate will enthusiast us and to make our student enthusiast also. So please trying to conduct something that innovate. So hopefully that everybody will be happy with our teaching learning process. Barakallah, thank you, Bu Raras.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dr. Ganjar, for a wonderful presentation. And just like all people said, save the best for the last. Now we have the best for the last, Dr. Associate Professor Dr. Siti Zaleha from Arsad Ayu Graduate Business Institute, Malaysia. Yeah, Dr. You can start sharing your screen.
Thank you very much, Ibu Raras. All right, let me share my screen first.
Yeah, we have 20 or maximum 20 minutes for you, so we can have a long half hour of Q&A session.
All right, okay, sure.
Yeah, we also already have questions here from Mutia Pramesti, Ibu Mutia Pramesti, but we will answer it later. Yeah, Ibu Mutia, so stay tuned in this Zoom. Yeah, you may start, Doctor.
Okay, first, can you see the slide?
Yeah, it's clear
right.
and
Okay,
beautiful.
yeah. Okay, thank you very much. So, Assalamualaikum and stay good morning. Yeah, in Indonesia, in Malaysia it's already 12 o'clock, 12:15. So, good morning to everyone, Dr. Ganjar, Prof. Irwan, Ibu Raras, Dr. Dewi, all participants, the school management, and also my colleagues, Dr. Arlina. So I would first also to say thank you very much to Department of Management, Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas Erlangga, for inviting me to take part in this series of seminar on the innovative teaching learning during pandemic. Okay, so just a bit about myself. I'm Siti Zaleha. I'm a marketing lecturer and currently holding the post as the Deputy Dean of Academic at Arsad Ayu Graduate Business School, or AAGBS, University Technology Mahra. My research area are in consumer behavior, brand management, as well as marketing segmentation and strategies. So before I go further, first allow me to share a bit about AAGBS and the program that we offered. Yeah, we have only 4 academic programs, and they are all postgraduate programs. We have 2 master programs, the MBA and MIBF. MIBF is the Master of Islamic Banking and Finance. And we have 2 doctoral programs, BBA and also PhD by mixed mode. Okay, so as we are here to look at the innovative teaching learning during pandemic. So I think the main focus is about the challenges and the opportunity that we face in conducting online classes. So the online learning. So this is a new thing, but we have to move on. For this presentation, I'm choosing this one of the courses that I taught at AAGBS, that is strategic brand management. So strategic brand management is one of the elective courses offered to the MBA final semester students. So not all students taking this course as it is elective, but quite a number of them go for this course. And I would like to share here some background of the course. This is the course learning objective. Yeah, we have 3 objectives. And these are the skills. Wait a minute. The skills and abilities, yeah, the skill and abilities that we want our students to acquire during throughout the course. So number one, if you can see here, is very much about getting them to apply the practical skill, whereby the second one or in the middle here is very much about helping them to acquire the leadership and communication skills. And last but not least is about the critical thinking and problem decision making skill. So these are the skills and ability that the students, the course, yeah, we aim the student will learn this or will get or enhance their skills throughout this course. Now, in terms of the course assessment, we have altogether 4 assessment. 2 assessments are in the form of group works, another 2 are in the individual works. So for this group work, brand project, the report and presentation is the main component. And then for case study analysis, they need to do to analyze the case in a group. And at the same time, they are given another case study, and that would be their individual assessment. And not only that, but they are also need to find out and choose and review a brand article. Yeah? So that is individual. So now while I'm highlighting the course objective, the skills set, yeah, that we want our student to learn, and also the assessment here, because this is the challenge, because we are now doing or delivering our teaching and learning, the classes online, but we have the same, we keep the same course learning objective, skills set and assessment. So how should we go about, or have what should we do in order to help our students to achieve this particular learning objective? Now, what I'm going to share here, perhaps it's not new to most of us, yeah, but very much about the practice, what I have done for the past 1.5 years since we moving to this online learning. One, it is important for us to choose the right online platform. I don't think we can put here as the best online platform, because each of these online platform, as we know, they have the strengths and also some constraint or limitations. So I still remember at the beginning where you know, I try to explore a number of different online platforms, looking at again what are the pros and cons, yeah, what are the positive and not so good about this platform, the limitation in other words. So where we look at example, yeah, WebEx, Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, each of these again, they have different features to offer, and as long as we can make use of this, we get ourselves familiar with this, the special features, it will help us a lot. Now, also on top of this, I would like to share with you at UiTM, we do have the official online platform for students and lecturers, and it's called UFuture. So UFuture here have some features that other online platform may not have. One of it is, of course, UFuture would supply the lecturers with data about students. So some lecturers, they like to use this official university's platform because it is much easier for them to take the attendance of the student, you know, to prepare the attendance list. So everything's linked to the students' data. In my case, after I looking at all this, sekejap ya, wait ya, tahan. So in my case, after I'm looking at the pros and cons of the available platform, I choose to use Google Meet. And that also lead me to use Google Classroom as my virtual classroom. So the materials are all being uploading to this Google Classroom. But just to share with you also, in last semester, I had a chance to teach one of the course at one of the universities in Thailand. So the students, of this group from China, and they are physically in China. Another 50% are students from Thailand. So when I asked the students about what platform that you have an access, what platform that you feel comfortable to use, the students in China said that, Doctor, we cannot use, or we do not have an access to Google Meet, but Zoom is okay to us. So from there, then I learned about Zoom because I decided to carry out the class using Zoom as the platform. So this is where we need to, as what Dr. Dewi said, know our students. So we have to ask them first about the platform. But for classes in Malaysia, I have no problem maintaining the use of keeping it to use Google Meet, because there is no problem to our local students to use or to get access to Google Meet. Now, the next approach of what I can share here is very much about preparing, not only prepare, but also to communicate clearly the course lesson plan, as well as the assessment details. So I totally agree with Dr. Dewi that mentioned planning is a must. Yes, it is a must. We have to have a plan in advance. What are the topics, subtopics, date, time, exercise, materials, and so on that we're going to use in our during the classes or for the course that we have to deliver. Now, the assessment details are also important because since we are not meeting our students physically, so it's all on screen. They are there, we are here. So sometimes if we just say it verbally, they may not get it clearly. You know, in particular, if we talk about how would you be assessed, I mean, how your work will be assessed, what are the deadline or the due date. So these are important to be clearly communicate with our students. So if we can put this in writing and post it to our student in different platform perhaps, or different channel, that would be good. I believe that would help us a lot and also help our students. And I'm just sharing here the example of, wait a minute, I'm going to bring this slide. Okay, this is just one of the example or sample of course assessment detail that I gave, and I design and develop it and give it to my students. It's about individual assessment. Remember the one that I shared just now. So this is a case study analysis, and the total mark is 30%. So here I'm giving the details of the assessment, how many days the students are given times to prepare, and then to complete and to submit their work to the instructor or to the lecturer. What is the purpose of this assignment, so that students know what they are doing, what they want to achieve, and also how the submissions should be made. And of course, we also put here the requirement in terms of to avoid any of this plagiarism and so on. They have to use this turn it in software to run the similarity index, and must be below 30%. And also I include the rubrics. Rubric is the assessment scale, how the student, what are the criteria that the instructor will use to assess their work. So all of this again, I taught them under the, in my Google Classroom for each of the groups, so that they know what they need to do. And as what Dr. Dewi mentioned again, of course, we need to plan. Yeah, we need to plan and to get all this done before the semester begins, so that inshallah everything will be run smoothly. Okay, and the next one is about the innovative learning materials. Yeah, well, it's about how we use the technology to help us to create innovative learning materials, materials that are more interactive, that, you know, we may use a new way on how to communicate or to deliver, yeah, the main focus of topics and subtopics. So as I highlighted earlier, the brand project is the main assessment of this course. So it has 40%, yeah, total mark of brand project, and it is a group work. So here I put the link that I created. I created just a simple video on a brand project. What is it? What is the content of the brand project? How should they go about, and so on. So maybe later, if you got time, you can just click to this powtoon.com and just have a look at that brand project. So this is one way of how I deliver that assessment instruction plus the expectation, yeah, what the students need to do. And I'm now going to approach number 4, that is about online interaction, which to me, this is the most challenging part. Yeah, I agree with Dr. Dewi. Engagement is really important. So how do we establish this engagement? Again, as we are all now talking about being online. So we just see our students, you know, on screen. They also see us, just like what we have right now. So connect and engage is very important here. So these are my students of 2 courses. One is for brand management, and another one is the strategic marketing management. So what I did is that to have, or to help me, and also to help students to develop that connection and engagement, is that I put them into smaller group discussion using different tools here. Okay, there are 2 or 3 ways to do this. First, those that using Zoom or WebEx, there is one function or feature, the so-called as breakout room. Yeah, breakout room. Dr. Dewi also mentioned about this just now. Yeah, you know, to put our student, yeah, break out to breakout room. Let's say I have here about 18 students. So usually what I did is that to put them to different rooms according to their groups, yeah, the assessment group. So some students have 3 members, others have 4, and others have 5. So average is 3 to 5. So we have basically like 3 or 4 rooms. Yeah, that is for those that using Zoom or WebEx. So I did that, yeah, for my student in Thailand, the one that I said that I'm using Zoom. But in Malaysia, as I'm using Google Meet, so far Google Meet do not have this a breakout room, but then I go for group schedule. Yeah, this is where in the lesson plan, I schedule the one-to-one sort of like consultation with the students. One-to-one, I mean myself and the team, yeah, team or group number 1, group number 3, number 2, and so on. So I will allocate like 20 minutes for group number 1, and then continue with group number 2. So each of the students will join the session, the Google Meet session, according to the schedule that I have given to them in advance. Now, what I learned from here is that one student said they like this approach because that gives them more rooms, more opportunity to speak up and to, you know, to share any issues that they have, you know, about their brand project in particular. So I can see that students who are a bit shy, when we go for the bigger group, when we put them in a smaller group discussion, the students are more active. They are responsive to the questions, and they take part, yeah, actively in the discussion. So this is the beauty of this online platform. So although we are not meeting them physically, still we can have this separate group discussion with each the team. So my plan here is for this coming semester, I would like to maintain this approach. It's not every time, yeah, it's not every week we have a smaller group discussion, no. So it's all based on the lesson plan. Week 2, for instance, then they will be giving a chance, yeah, to share with me their progress, the progress of their brand project, yeah, to develop a brand. Either they come up with new brand or rebranding exercise of any brand, yeah, that they choose, or any company that they choose. So from there, I can follow their progress. I can know what are the perhaps some step that they face difficulties to do it. So we can have discussion on how should we go about, what would be the possible solution to this problem, and so on. So this is about again having smaller group discussion. And after that, those that using Zoom, you can set the time that, okay, end of 1 hour, for instance, everyone will go back to the main screen or the main group, which all of the students will meet each other again. So that's how it works. Okay, this is to share. In fact, I think most of us, most of us, getting familiar with these interactive apps. It is very useful to help us to create interactive materials, teaching materials to our students. And also, I believe it actually helps us to connect and engage with our students more effectively. For instance, Mentimeter, yeah, and Kahoot are a simple way to get the student engaged and to participate in our discussion. Like Mentimeter, Dr. Dewi also shared just now, just a simple questions, yeah, that we throw to our student and to see their response. I'm using this one, but usually, yes, I just use that for a simple discussion, not a heavy one, because we just give a few minutes to the students to respond to that question, and then we come back to the responses that we got. From there, we start the discussion, further discussion. Canva.com, this is the one that I'm using right now, yeah, of my presentation. So it is, I would say, amazing apps, yeah, to help us create the presentation slide, also videos. Powtoon, yeah, of course, this is another one, and also this one, yeah. So there are many others. So this is something also that we practice, yeah, at AAGBS, not only for a specific course, but overall, yeah, at the school. We take advantage of this online communication, whereby we help to connect our student and also ourselves to others, yeah, to others. So not just local, but also international webinar. So here, what I put here are the 3 posters, yeah, about the webinar. This is these 2, yeah. Number 1, the Omni House and storytelling in marketing with the Institutes of Marketing Malaysia. So we share that with our students so that our students have a chance to listen to others. They get a lots of new what we call knowledge, yeah. And at the same time, we did this, yeah, the Adult Learning Scale for Students, a webinar. We invited a speaker from Putra University, Putra Malaysia, and this is done, yeah, into 2020. And the purpose here is to help our students to be ready and more prepared to go for the postgraduate programs. And I come to this question of what do we learn throughout the process of teaching during pandemic time? And to me, it's actually going back to the importance of having human touch or personal touch. So while we're being innovative, we want to be interactive, but at the same time, we have to have some flexibility in our communication, interaction with our students, and not only flexibility, but also empathy, because we don't know what are the problems or any issues faced by our students out there. We don't know unless they tell us. So I always see myself as I have to be empathy to my students, to be more flexible about some of requests from my students and so on. So for instance, last semester I got one student. He contacted me and he said that he needs some extension, yeah, for the submission of one of the assessment because he got COVID. Not only he, but also the whole family, and they were hospitalized. So I said, no problem at all. Take care. I give you extra time. If let's say you need more extension, just let me know. I will try to accommodate that. And Alhamdulillah, he managed and he submitted within the first extension date. So these are the things, yeah, that again, I would say behind technology is human. So we are all human. We have to have this what I call this flexibility and empathy in particular. And we also don't know our student perhaps internet connection is one of the challenges here, but other than that, if they have any other problems, issues, and so on, we don't know. Yeah. So what we can do perhaps to encourage them to talk to us, let us know, or perhaps they talk to their friends and their friends inform us and so on. So know your student, as what Dr. Dewi said, is definitely very important. So last but not least, I think let's keep learning and growing together. The lecturers as well as we are actually also learn a lot from our students. So let's learning and growing together. That's what I learned. So thank you very much, Ibu Raras. That's all from me. Thank you very much again for inviting me to this talk. Maybe, yeah, if we can go for any Q&A. Ibu Raras, back to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Siti Zaliha. And now we will start the Q&A session. Bapak Ibu, you can ask question directly. You can raise your hand or turn on your microphone. I will, saya akan persilahkan Bapak Ibu jika ada pertanyaan. Sambil menunggu, saya akan mengajak para narasumber ya untuk menjawab pertanyaan yang pertama ini dari we have our first questions from Ibu Mutia Pramesti because in this Zoom or video call meeting, video meeting, a lot of students turn off the camera, so it's hard to get the human touch, that Dr. Siti Zaliha just enhanced. So how can we still engage with the students while they are turning off the camera, so we cannot see the response, right? So I will ask Dr. Rifeli first for this because you first bring out this issue.
Okay. Thank you, Mbak Raras. Thank you, Mbak Mutia. Apa kabar? Okay.
Alhamdulillah, Mbak Feli. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Mbak. Okay. That's the most difficult. Yeah, we cannot see their expression, their enthusiastic. But I frequently do like calling them, something like that, and then seperti voting something. Jadi mereka pakai di chat. Jadi mereka giving their opinion on the chat, and then giving their expression on the chat, like reaction, clapping their hands for the presenter group, or maybe giving love expression, something like that. Yes. Jadi even though they not on camera, but sometimes they do attention. But maybe seperti Ibu Siti tadi, ada yang COVID hospitalized, and but they eager to attend the class but cannot on cam. So I give them permission, give them permission. It's okay not being on cam, but they can contribute themselves ya, and then they can engage themselves by doing chatting, something like that. Jadi nggak masalah Mbak Mutia, walaupun mereka nggak on cam, tapi mereka masih pay attention kok ke kelas.
Yeah, so that's the case for students who pay attention, but sometimes also a lot of them turn off the camera.
Panggil aja Mbak, iseng, panggilin.
Panggilin iseng ya. Yeah, maybe Dr. Siti Zaleha, you want to add something? Is it also happen in Malaysia or also or only
Yes,
Indonesian students?
it's common. It's common. Okay, if I may add to what Dr. Dewi shared just now, yes. I don't know about the university, but in our school there is no rule that says student must or compulsory to on the camera. I don't think we can impose that kind of regulation. So that it goes back to sometimes there must be a reason why they do not on their camera. Perhaps they don't feel comfortable or what, right? But I agree with that. In fact, that's what also I did is I call their name, and sometimes they are not around, but their friend is actually help to answer. Oh, yeah. He's going here and there, so he's at kitchen, and so we are living with this. So these things happen. But overall, they are good students. I must say, they give commitment, high commitment. We can see that although we cannot have that physically, we are not meeting them. But then when they do presentation, when we open questions, they can answer and so on, or they ask us the question. That's actually one way to me that show they are actually engaging with us. Another thing, as I mentioned just now, I learned that when we put them in a smaller group, trust me, all of them open their camera. They on the camera. Perhaps they feel more comfortable now. They have, instead of 20 of their peers, now they are only with their team of 3 members, example. So they feel comfortable to speak. I can see naturally they enjoy that session as well. I think Dr. Gancha has mentioned stress and so on, right? So sometimes perhaps if we ask them to, okay, everyone must on the camera, it may create some panic or stress among our students. So as of now, we don't impose that compulsory, but we try our best on how to get engaged with them. That's why I can respond to Ibu Rara.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree, Dr. Siti. I also have experience on having a smaller group discussion, and yeah, it worked. And unexpectedly, we see a new name of a student had never spoke before in this class, and suddenly he speak a very good opinion. So yeah, we find a hidden gem in this in the breakout session. Yeah, hope it helped to answer the question from Bu Mutia. Do you want to add something or?
Yeah, Bu Raras, can I add something?
Oh yeah, Dr. Ganchar.
Yeah. So based on my experience, even that we conduct some the teaching learning process in offline, something make our student engage to our discussion is our problems. So online or offline is the same thing. They have to engage. Sometimes even they are join in the class, their mind go anywhere. So they are not engaged to our discussion. So that's problem also in offline teaching learning process. But when we discuss about online, something that we have to discuss is about rule of the games. So in the first meeting, I think the important thing is the rule of the game. So we know that we have problem sometimes for make video to make a video on camera, because it's problem of quota, it's problem of signal and something else. So we have to understand about that. But I make the rule that if you ask something, if you present something, so you have to on camera. And if I can make engagement also by something that Dr. Rivoli said, sometimes we can ask to the audience, and 3 times they are not respond. So as a host, I could eliminate them. I could make them out, because so there is a rule that we have to discuss it, and we agree, both side, teacher and student, that I should call them until 3 times. So they have to respond. Even just the voice, they have to respond. If they are not respond, so I think they go anywhere. They just the camera, the audio is over, even audio or the video is off, but the name is over there, but we don't know where they are. Are they asleep? Are they in the toilet? So they have to respond in the third call. So that my rule. The second thing, I have the rule for discussion, because we know if we conducting teamwork, so there should be ghostwriter. So in every team there must be penumpang gelap. They just put their names. They have no contribution for the team. So in my discussion, sometimes I call it, they have to work in group for the same team, but they have to work individually. So the discussion is individually, but they are in the same team. So everybody, every individual in the team will talk. So that's the rule of the game of my discussion. So permainannya adalah mereka berkelompok tapi tetap individu. Sehingga mereka penilainya tetap individu, penilainya bukan kelompok. Nah, itu beberapa permainan yang kemudian secara sederhana bisa kita lakukan dari pengalaman saya, Bu Mutia Pramesti. Terima kasih, Barakallah.
Baik, Bu Mutia, bagaimana Bu? Mungkin ada tambahan dari Ibu atau sudah jelas? Untuk Bu Mutia.
Ya, terima kasih Mas sudah menjawab. Terima kasih banyak Bapak Ibu. Thank you.
Ya, terima kasih Bu Mutia sudah berkenan on cam. Thank you for turning on the camera and joining with our discussion today. We really appreciate your attendance. Thank you Bu Mutia. And mungkin Bapak Ibu ada pertanyaan lain? Silakan Bapak Ibu langsung nyalakan mikrofonnya aja. Boleh langsung bertanya. Ya, silakan Bapak Ibu. Jika ada pertanyaan, kita tinggal 15 menit ya waktunya.
Saya kira saya mungkin boleh memunculkan pertanyaan ya.
Oh ini kita, maaf Pak Ganjar, kita ada satu pertanyaan nih.
Baik.
Quite long. I will read it very slowly ya. Thank you for the question, Bapak Aldi Satria Hidayat. Bapak Aldi, do you want to ask directly or prefer for me to read? Aldi.
You may please to read it please for me.
Oke, thank you. Terima kasih Pak Aldi. Oke, ini Profesor Irwan izin Pak Ganjar ada acara lain ya.
Oke, Prof.
Ya baik. The question is, thank you. I will ask something that probably common things during the classes. Should we want to do some quizzes or tests? What are the best approach in terms of online learning, so we can assure that our students do it properly without cheating and sharing the questions with other students? Yeah, maybe we'll give opportunity for Dr. Siti Zaleha first. We can be assured that students are not cheating during the test or quizzes.
Okay, thank you for the question. Yeah, this is another challenge. Yeah, this is another challenge. it's actually online or offline, the rule is just the same. Yeah, no plagiarism, the integrity must be there. However, as we go online, as we can see, like us, we go for open assessment. As I share to you, this is for my course, yeah, the course that I taught. I'm giving student time. I'm giving them 3 days, yeah, to read the case study and then to find the reference and all those, to answer the question and submit their answer accordingly. So if I can share what we do at our school is that first, it is a must for the students to upload their work to Turnitin software to check the similarity index. And we state clearly that the similarity index must be below 30%. So if they got more, then they have to, could be there are some cut and paste here and there, and it's not go with a proper citation or referencing, which is wrong. Yeah, so they need to redo that part. And at the same time, from didn't show you at the university level, the legal department, yeah, through this academic department, we have, the university have use this one, the so-called SUITM integrity pledge, yeah, where the students have to, each of the students have to read, understand, and they have to sign that form and submit the form to their lecturers, meaning to say one course, one form, one integrity form. So if they're taking 3 courses for that semester, means that they have to fill up that 3 forms, yeah, and submitted to 3 different lecturers. So there we stated clearly what they cannot do, yeah, what they should not do. So including sharing or taking someone else's work, yeah, and then say that this is their work and so on. So this is actually one of the, or among the efforts that the university take to help our students or to promote the integrity, yeah, among the students. That's in terms of the rules and regulation. As a lecturer, the way I see this is that we, as the instructor, perhaps what we can do is that we may give them a case study, for instance, but then the question is like an open question. Something like you may not find the answer online. Something that the student may not copy or paste somewhere. Yeah, this is something that they really have to think about it and then put their thought, yeah, on or with regard to the question. Or could be some lecturers, they use something like, giving a question, example, a case study, but then the question are actually referring. Okay, please refer to the organization where you work with, how the management are tackling this and that issue. So it will go back to a very specific context, which is a bit difficult for the students. They may, if they still want to do it, that's beyond our control, but that is one way for us to encourage the student, in fact, giving them more freedom to answer the question in a way that it relates to their working place or it relates to their personal opinion on what they learn. So that's what I can share here. Yeah. Hopefully I answered the question.
Actually, the question is more on the test or quizzes, yeah, like when the student need to work on the test real time, just like multiple choice or essay. But what I can conclude from Dr. Siti Zaleha is,
right.
In that case, is it from the type of the questions? Yeah, maybe the different idea.
Yeah. Yes, Ibu Raras. In our case, let me just refer to the course that I taught. Yeah, strategic marketing management and strategic brand management. So we do not have a format of a question, yeah, as multiple choice. So we don't have like A, B, C, and so on. However, we may use this for exercise. Example, just now we can use Mentimeter. So that is for the class exercise, so that, you know, to get the student engaged, to get them awake, yeah, to get them with us. But for the assessment, it's very much on the project based, and also the writing part. In my case lah, I mean the courses that I taught, I'm not using, or the lecturers are not using any multiple choice or close-ended question.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. So it's from the perspective of graduate graduate student, yeah. I think Dr. Rifali maybe at some points in the case of undergraduate student, ya. Karena kan jumlah mahasiswa kita banyak ya, Bu, kalau ada.
Iya, betul.
Jadi kalau pakai soal multiple choice itu pasti kita sebagai dosen, aduh, kayak pengen banget pakai soal multiple choice ya, praktis, dan kita langsung get the score directly ya.
Iya. Tapi betul tadi seperti Bu Siti ya. Jadi memang kalau untuk, apalagi kalau untuk marketing dan strategic management, we are very rare ya Bu ya untuk using multiple choice, very rare ya. Jadi kalau untuk kuis-kuis yang pendek-pendek tadi itu memang untuk engagement sebenarnya, dan prior prior knowledge-nya mereka, evaluate their prior knowledge. Jadi kalau misalnya pakai Mentimeter atau Kahoot itu nggak ada waktu untuk cheating-cheatingan gitu ya, orang cuma 15 detik gitu, cetek kan gitu, nggak ada waktu. Lalu kalau untuk, nah saya punya pengalaman nih Bapak Ibu, I have experience in midterm, in final term. We use like open questions, analytic question, and etc. Case study also. And then ada dua jawaban, two students that have similar answer. How we know? Kami masukkan di dalam Turnitin. Saya masukkan dalam Turnitin, and then we get the similarity above 50%. Terus kami panggil, we call them dua-duanya pakai Zoom seperti ini. Lalu kami istilahnya interogasi, investigation, why they have a similarity above 50%. And then they confess. Jadi mereka itu mengerjakan maybe like 3 questions, and then 1 questions doing by A, second question doing by B, and 3rd question doing by C, and then they combine. Seperti itu. Akhirnya kami memutuskan bahwa mereka based on the rules of the game ya, and then aturan di fakultas itu mereka fail on the class. Ya, mereka fail di kelas, dan itu menjadi sesuatu yang sangat istilahnya membekas bagi mahasiswa, karena kami juga pasti tahu bahwa pernah ada kejadian seperti ini itu last semester, and then they afraid gitu ya, karena mereka membuat statement of integrity ya Bu, sama seperti Bu Siti. Jadi they sign also the statement of integrity, and they failed on the class. Gitu Pak.
Okay, so
menjawab ya Mas Aldi.
I hope so, but the conclusion is both of Dr. Rifali and Dr. Siti Zaliha are seldom using multiple choice or short question for exam, yeah. Maybe just for small engagement with the student, yeah. But not for the real final exam or midterm exam, yeah.
No.
So you prefer using project assignment, right, for the exam? Yeah. For Dr. Siti Zaliha, are you more using project or case study?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And then just to share, at AAGBS, each of the course, we appoint 1 resource person, a lecturer.
Oh.
So in this case, strategic brand management, I'm the resource person for the course. So all those things that we put here as the what we call assessment, evaluation, instruction, and so on, it's my duty to communicate that with all the instructors, the lecturers that teaching the course, so that we have like a standard way of assessing our students, and also well, in terms of delivery, it's up to each of the lecturers. Different lecturers will have different way of, deliver the class. But the lesson plan, the assessment, all are standardized. And also to share with you, in AAGBS, our MBA programs is offered in more than 10 campuses. To be exact, it's 11 campuses. So it's critical for us to ensure that each of the campus, they are offering the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. That's great work. Yeah. So I think it's already answered the questions from Bapak Aldi Satria Hidayat. Yeah. The first, how can we assure that students are not cheating? So the first one, try to check the questions. Yeah, maybe using the question that open questions and relate them to the situation in their environment. So most likely, the answer would be different for every student there. But and for final exam and midterm exams, using a side project assignment or case study analysis is more preferable, yeah, to measure the learning outcome. Yeah, but that's also based on the learning outcome of every courses. Yeah. Dr. Ganjar, do you want to add something, or it's clear enough for this question?
I think the important thing is understanding the learning outcome of each courses of each subject first. What we want student have, is it about skill or is it about knowledge? So based on the learning outcome of each subject, so we have to make a measurement of that. If it's about skills, so I think we have to measure that they already have the skills. So we have to build experience for teaching learning or research or project-based learning. And then we will observe, we will measure the task that they already done. But for knowledge, sometimes I'm using the task they have to subscribe their mind mapping. So mind mapping, based on the rule of the game that we already shared, mind mapping is the student mind. So it will not be the same for each other. So I will tell to them, there should be no similar mind mapping, because we have our mind. So you can have your own mind mapping. Is it you make diagram, you make a table, or you make narration? It's up to you. But based on the thing that you already have in this subject, so trying to make connection between each of sub-subject in each session. So I think they will have engagement of each session, so they can conclude it in one mind mapping about what things that they already learned. And based on the communication that I have already give to them, that if there is similar mind mapping, so I will give the lower value, the lower score for both of them, because we don't know who is the one who cheating, who will cheated by others. So I think after we understand what thing that we give the score, what is the learning outcome, so the important thing is how we make valuation, how we make scoring of that. So rule of the game should be communicated to the student based on RPS, planning, the planning of teaching learning process, something that Dr. Rifli said. Tuh sedikit tambahannya, Bu Raras.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ganjar, for the additional answer. I think it also adding to our knowledge, yeah, that using asking students for making their own mind mapping also help students to engage more with the course. Yeah. And
karena walaupun offline, multiple choice is easy to be cheat, right? So offline or online, when sometimes in so many cases, in so many exam, the student work together in the same room. So they can saw their friends answering the question. So even we have time limitation, there is no problem, because when the clever student answer the question, it suddenly can be typed by the other student in the same room. So this is the difficulty one. So we have to understand about this disadvantage. So we trying to move to others scoring or valuation. This is the innovation also about the innovation to give scoring, right, Dr. Siti? We have to become more innovative.
Yeah, that's right, Dr. Ganjar.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for the additional, Dr. Ganjar. And now, I think it's already 12 p.m. Yeah, already 12, and our time is up. So this question from Bapak Aldi Satria Hidayat close our discussion today. It's a wonderful discussion, and I would like to inform some of important information. The first is about the speaker PPT, speaker presentation slides are available in the website. It's in the link. Link is available in the chat room also. And for those who want to get this certificate and all the attendance, we hope you can fill out the attendance form. And after you fill out the form, you will get the certificate directly in your email. So make sure that you put the right email on the form letter. Yeah. Also, we kindly ask you to upload additional picture of your ID card yet for the verification purpose of our attendance. Yeah, I think that's all. And the recording of this session will be uploaded on our YouTube account. Just type Department Management FEB Unair in the YouTube, and this video will come up. We will upload it today or tomorrow. Yeah, anytime soon. So that's all we can provide for you today. It's a very wonderful session with all the lecturer here in the Zoom. We are here because we care about the quality of education for our students, right? So we are here to learn something new about the innovative learning process. So that's all. We hope all of you have the wonderful weekend. Yeah. Have a nice day. Thank you. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Ganjar.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Dr. Zaliha, Dr. Rafeli.
Thank you.
Hope that we can collaborate in the future
Ya,
time.
insyaallah.
Sepertinya kita marketing semua nih, Ibu Siti.
Iya.
Iya kan? Bisa ya, Bu?
Bisa bikin join courses, join subject.
Iya, betul.
Oke.
Saya juga ngajar
Pak Ahmad.
Thank you.
strategic marketing, Ibu Siti.
Ya.
Dr.
Saya juga ngajar strategic marketing.
Thank you.
Jadi
Thank you
saya
so
kira
much.
saya pernah punya ide untuk bikin join courses gitu, Jadi kalau pengajarannya di mata kuliahnya sama dan kemudian sesi subtopiknya juga sama, saya kira kan kita bisa bikin join
Iya, bisa banget, Pak. Bisa banget. Iya, nanti dengan Bu Siti juga bisa kita bikin collaborate, Bu.
Boleh, insyaallah.
Jadi ini BKM versi S2 mungkin bisa dilakukan.
Ya, graduate. Iya, Pak. Iya.
Salam warahmatullahi
Oke,
terima kasih.
Kontak-kontak ya Pak Ganjar.
Ya, Bu Rifeli.
Ya, oke.